Captain Rebecca Martinez had been flying F-16s for 8 years, but she'd never seen anything like what was happening above the Nevada desert that Tuesday morning. The radio crackled with tension as Colonel Davidson's voice cut through the static, ordering her squadron to assume attack formation against what appeared to be an unidentified aircraft, violating restricted airspace. The target was a sleek, unconventional aircraft that had appeared on radar 20 minutes earlier, moving at impossible speeds and altitudes. It had ignored all attempts at radio contact and was now performing maneuvers that defied everything Rebecca knew about aerodynamics. The Pentagon had classified it as a potential threat, and the order was clear. If it didn't respond to final warnings, they were authorized to engage. Rebecca's F-16 was positioned as the lead aircraft in a diamond formation with 3 other fighters. Her wingman, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, was radioing coordinates, while Captain Sarah Chen maintained overwatch from above. The 4th pilot, Captain David Thompson, was running electronic countermeasures to prevent any potential jamming from the unknown craft. As they closed distance, Rebecca noticed something odd about the mysterious aircraft's flight pattern. It wasn't random or evasive as she'd initially thought. The craft was creating deliberate contrails at specific altitudes, and these vapor trails were forming what looked almost like symbols. She squinted through her helmet's visor, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. "Phoenix Leader, this is Control. You are cleared hot. Repeat, you are cleared hot," came the voice from the command center. Rebecca's finger moved toward the weapon's release button, but something made her hesitate. The contrails were becoming more defined, and she could now see they were forming numbers and letters in sequence. The craft was spelling something in the sky using its vapor trail. Rebecca's heart raced as she realized what she was looking at. It wasn't just random characters. It was a mathematical sequence she recognized from her engineering background at the Air Force Academy. The Fibonacci sequence: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. "Control, this is Phoenix Leader. I need to report something unusual about the target's flight pattern," Rebecca transmitted, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. "Phoenix Leader, maintain attack posture. We have visual confirmation of your formation," Control responded curtly. But Rebecca was already analyzing the implications. No hostile aircraft would waste time and fuel creating mathematical sequences in the sky. This wasn't aggressive behavior, it was communication. Someone was trying to tell them something, and they were using a universal language that any pilot or scientist would recognize. The craft continued its pattern, now clearly writing out more complex mathematical formulas. Rebecca recognized elements of Einstein's field equations and what appeared to be quantum mechanics principles. Her mind raced as she tried to process the meaning behind these aerial messages. "All units, this is Phoenix Leader. Hold your fire. I repeat, hold your fire," she commanded, her authority as formation leader overriding the previous attack order. The other pilots acknowledged reluctantly, their own confusion evident in their voices. Rebecca knew she was taking an enormous risk by countermanding a direct order from control, but something told her that shooting down this aircraft would be a catastrophic mistake. The mathematical sequences weren't just random. They were building towards something, and she needed to see what that something was. The mysterious craft seemed to sense the change in the formation's posture and began a new sequence, this time incorporating what looked like star charts and celestial coordinates. Rebecca's blood ran cold as she realized exactly what she was looking at. Amanda Stevens had been working as a civilian contractor for the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program for 3 years, but she'd never been called to an active military engagement before. When her phone rang at 6:47 a.m. with orders to report immediately to Nellie's Air Force Base, she knew something extraordinary was happening. The drive from Las Vegas to the base took 45 minutes through desert landscape that looked like something from another planet. Amanda's background in theoretical physics and her security clearance made her one of only 12 people in the country qualified to analyze unconventional aerial phenomena in real time. She'd studied every reported UAP encounter from the past decade, but this was her first chance to observe one during an active military response. The command center was buzzing with activity when she arrived. Multiple screens showed radar tracking data, satellite imagery, and live video feeds from the F-16 formation that had been scrambled to intercept the unknown craft. General Patricia Harrison, the base commander, briefed Amanda quickly on the situation. The object appeared on radar at 6:30 hours, moving at speeds exceeding Mach 3 at altitudes varying between 30,000 and 50,000 feet, the general explained, pointing to the tracking data. "It's been unresponsive to all radio contact and is now being intercepted by our fighters." Amanda studied the radar signatures and flight patterns on the screens. The craft's movements were unlike anything in any military database she'd accessed. It wasn't following ballistic trajectories or conventional flight physics. Instead, it seemed to be moving in deliberate, almost artistic patterns that reminded her of something she couldn't quite place. "General, has anyone analyzed the actual flight path rather than just the speed and altitude data?" Amanda asked, pulling up a different view on her workstation. "What do you mean?" General Harrison replied, moving closer to Amanda's screen. Amanda's fingers flew across the keyboard, overlaying the craft's flight path onto a grid system. What emerged made her pulse quicken. The unknown aircraft wasn't flying randomly. It was creating a pattern that, when viewed from above, formed recognizable shapes and symbols. "It's writing something," Amanda said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The flight path is creating symbols in three-dimensional space." On the main screen, they could see the live feed from Captain Martinez's F-16. The formation was approaching weapons range, and the authorization to engage had already been given. Amanda's heart raced as she realized what was about to happen. "General, I need to speak with the formation leader immediately," Amanda said urgently. "I don't think this is a hostile encounter." General Harrison looked skeptical but picked up the direct communication handset. "Phoenix Leader, this is Base Command. We have a specialist here who needs to brief you on the target's behavior patterns." Rebecca's voice came through clearly. "Base Command, I'm already observing unusual patterns in the target's contrails. It appears to be creating mathematical sequences." Amanda felt a surge of relief. The pilot had noticed it too. "Captain Martinez, this is Dr. Amanda Stevens. I'm analyzing the craft's complete flight path, and it's creating complex mathematical and scientific formulas in three-dimensional space. This appears to be an attempt at communication, not hostile action." There was a pause before Rebecca responded. "Dr. Stevens, I concur with your assessment. The sequences I'm observing include the Fibonacci series and what appear to be physics equations. I've ordered my formation to hold fire pending further analysis." General Harrison's face was grim. "Dr. Stevens, Washington wants this threat neutralized immediately. We can't base military decisions on speculation about mathematical doodles in the sky." But Amanda was already pulling up more data. The craft's energy signature was unlike anything in known technology, but its behavior patterns suggested intelligence and peaceful intent. She had to convince them to give her more time to understand what was happening. "General, if I'm right about this, we could be looking at first contact with non-human intelligence. If I'm wrong, we can still engage the target. But if we shoot first and ask questions later, we might be making the biggest mistake in human history." The room fell silent as everyone processed the implications of Amanda's words. On the screen, the mysterious craft continued its aerial ballet, writing messages in the sky that only a few people on Earth were equipped to understand. Rebecca Martinez had been trained for combat scenarios involving enemy aircraft, surface-to-air missiles, and electronic warfare. Nothing in her 8 years of military service had prepared her for the possibility that she might be face-to-face with technology from another world. As she watched the unknown craft continue its aerial riding, she felt a profound sense of responsibility that went far beyond her military oath. The craft had now completed what appeared to be a complete mathematical proof, starting with basic arithmetic and progressing through calculus, quantum mechanics, and what looked like equations describing faster-than-light travel. Each symbol was created with precision that would have been impossible for any human pilot to achieve, even with the most advanced flight computers. "Dr. Stevens, are you seeing this?" Rebecca transmitted to the command center. The craft just completed what looks like a unified field theory equation. This is beyond anything in our current understanding of physics. Amanda's voice came back immediately. "Captain Martinez, I'm recording everything." The mathematical sophistication of these aerial messages suggests an intelligence far beyond current human capabilities. We need to respond in kind. Rebecca made a decision that would either end her military career or change the course of human history. "Control, this is Phoenix Leader. I'm going to attempt to communicate with the craft using similar aerial patterns. I need permission to break formation and execute non-standard maneuvers." General Harrison's voice was sharp. "Phoenix Leader, you are not authorized to deviate from intercept protocols. Maintain attack formation and prepare to engage on my command." But Rebecca had already begun a series of precise maneuvers, using her F-16s contrails to write a simple mathematical response in the sky. She started with basic geometric shapes: a triangle, a circle, a square, then moved to the Pythagorean theorem. If this was truly first contact, humanity's response needed to demonstrate both intelligence and peaceful intent. The effect was immediate. The unknown craft stopped its complex patterns and began mirroring Rebecca's simple shapes: triangle, circle, square, each form replicated with perfect precision. Then it began elaborating on her mathematical theorem, showing alternative proofs and extensions that Rebecca had never seen before. "My God," Amanda's voice came through the radio. "It's responding. It's actually responding to your communication attempt." The other pilots in Rebecca's formation were maintaining their positions, but were clearly struggling with the unprecedented nature of the situation. Lieutenant Morrison's voice crackled through the radio. "Phoenix Leader, I'm not sure what's happening here, but this doesn't feel like a combat situation anymore." Rebecca agreed. The craft's behavior had shifted from mysterious to clearly communicative. It was no longer just creating random patterns. It was engaging in a mathematical dialogue that demonstrated both intelligence and understanding of human-level mathematics. "Control, I'm recommending we stand down from attack posture," Rebecca transmitted. "This entity is clearly attempting peaceful communication, and engaging it militarily could be catastrophic for human-alien relations." The response from General Harrison was swift and angry. "Phoenix Leader, You are in direct violation of orders. Return to attack formation immediately or face court-martial." Rebecca took a deep breath. She'd always known that her military career might require her to make difficult decisions, but she'd never imagined having to choose between following orders and potentially preventing humanity's first act of violence against another intelligent species. "Control, I respectfully decline to engage a peaceful entity attempting communication," she replied. "I take full responsibility for this decision." The craft seemed to sense the tension in the human formation and began a new pattern, this time creating what appeared to be peaceful symbols from various Earth cultures. A dove, an olive branch, mathematical infinity symbols, and what looked like musical notations. Rebecca realized she was witnessing something unprecedented in human history, and her next decision would determine whether humanity's first contact would be remembered as a moment of wisdom or a tragic mistake. Dr. Amanda Stevens had analyzed hundreds of UAP encounters during her tenure with the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Program, but she'd never seen anything approaching the sophistication of the communication attempt unfolding above the Nevada desert. The mathematical sequences being created by the unknown craft weren't just advanced, they were revolutionary, suggesting solutions to problems that had puzzled human scientists for decades. In the command center, tension was reaching a breaking point. General Harrison was under intense pressure from Washington to neutralize what the Pentagon considered a potential threat. But Amanda could see that Captain Martinez's decision to attempt communication had opened a door that, once closed, might never open again. "General, I need to show you something," Amanda said, pulling up a new analysis on her workstation. "The craft isn't just responding to Captain Martinez's mathematical communications, it's teaching us. Look at these equations." The screen displayed a complex series of formulas that the craft had written in the sky after Rebecca's initial geometric responses. Amanda had run them through every database available to the Pentagon, and the results were staggering. These appear to be solutions to unified field theory problems that our best physicists have been working on for 50 years, Amanda explained. "The craft is showing us how to reconcile quantum mechanics with general relativity. This isn't just communication, it's a gift." General Harrison studied the data with growing amazement. "Dr. Stevens, are you telling me that this thing is trying to advance human scientific understanding?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you," Amanda replied. "And if we shoot it down, we'll be destroying the greatest opportunity for scientific advancement in human history." The radio crackled with updates from the F-16 formation. Captain Martinez was continuing her dialogue with the craft, now attempting to communicate concepts about Earth's location in the galaxy and humanity's level of technological development. The craft was responding with what appeared to be star charts and representations of other solar systems. Amanda's phone buzzed with an encrypted message from her contact at the Pentagon. Washington was losing patience with the delay and was preparing to give General Harrison a direct order to engage the target regardless of the pilot's assessment of its intentions. "General, we're running out of time," Amanda said urgently. "I need to recommend that we establish a formal communication protocol with this entity. What we're witnessing could be the most important event in human history." Meanwhile, in the sky above, Rebecca Martinez was experiencing something no human pilot had ever experienced before. The craft had begun projecting what appeared to be three-dimensional images alongside its mathematical messages. These weren't just contrails anymore. They were complex holographic displays showing what looked like other worlds, other civilizations, and technologies beyond human imagination. "Control, you need to see this," Rebecca transmitted. "The craft is showing me images of what appear to be other planets and civilizations. This is definitely not Earth-based technology." The holographic displays showed peaceful scenes of advanced cities, beings that appeared to be engaged in scientific and artistic pursuits, and technologies that seemed to harness energy directly from stars. It was a vision of what human civilization might become if it chose cooperation over conflict. Rebecca realized that she was being given a choice, not just for herself, but for all of humanity. The decision to engage or communicate would set the tone for Earth's relationship with whatever intelligence was piloting this craft. As she watched the peaceful images continue to unfold in the sky above the Nevada desert, Rebecca knew that her next transmission to the command center would be the most important message of her career. The weight of first contact with an alien intelligence had fallen on the shoulders of a fighter pilot who had joined the Air Force to protect her country, and now found herself in the position of potentially speaking for all of humanity. Lieutenant Jake Morrison had been Rebecca Martinez's wingman for 18 months, and he'd never seen his formation leader face a situation like this. As the second pilot in the Diamond Formation, he had a clear view of both the unknown craft and Rebecca's F-16 as she attempted to communicate through aerial maneuvers. What Jake was witnessing defied everything he'd learned about aerial combat. The craft wasn't just responding to Rebecca's communications. It was demonstrating flight capabilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics. It could stop instantly from supersonic speeds, change direction without banking, and maintain perfect stability while creating complex patterns that would have torn apart any human-built aircraft. "Phoenix 2 to Phoenix Leader," Jake transmitted on the secure channel. "I'm observing flight characteristics that shouldn't be possible. No G-forces, no heat signatures from rapid direction changes, and the craft appears to be generating its own energy field. Rebecca's voice came back steady. Phoenix 2, I concur. We're dealing with technology that's decades or centuries beyond our capabilities. That's why I believe communication is our only viable option. Jake had always trusted Rebecca's judgment, but this situation was testing the limits of military protocol. He could hear the tension in the radio communications from control, and he knew that their formation was probably being watched by everyone from the Pentagon to the White House. The craft had now moved into what appeared to be a teaching mode, creating mathematical sequences that started with concepts familiar to human science, but then extended into areas that were completely unknown. Jake watched as it demonstrated what looked like equations for manipulating space-time itself. Phoenix Leader, I'm starting to understand what you meant about this being beyond a military response, Jake admitted. This isn't an invasion or a reconnaissance mission. It's educational. Captain Sarah Chen, maintaining overwatch from above, had been observing the entire encounter with a mixture of fascination and concern. Her position gave her the best view of the craft's overall behavior patterns, and what she was seeing suggested an intelligence that was patient, deliberate, and clearly benevolent. Phoenix Leader, this is Phoenix 3, Sarah transmitted. I'm observing what appears to be a scan of our aircraft. The craft is examining our technology but showing no signs of hostile intent. It seems curious about our capabilities. The craft had indeed begun creating patterns that seemed to mirror the basic design of the F-16 formation, as if it were trying to understand human aviation technology. But instead of copying their aircraft exactly, it was showing improved versions, more efficient engines, better aerodynamics, and what appeared to be propulsion systems that didn't rely on traditional jet engines. It's showing us how to improve our own technology, Sarah realized. This is like having a master craftsman examine your work and then show you how to do it better. Captain David Thompson, running electronic countermeasures, had been monitoring all radio frequencies and electronic emissions from the craft. What he'd discovered was perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the entire encounter. Phoenix Leader, you need to know something, David transmitted. This craft isn't just communicating through aerial patterns. It's been broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously, and the signals are incredibly complex. My equipment is picking up what appears to be music, mathematical proofs, and even what looks like digital art. Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. Phoenix 4, are you saying it's been trying to communicate with us through multiple channels simultaneously? That's exactly what I'm saying, David replied. While it's been writing equations in the sky, It's also been broadcasting what appears to be cultural information, art, music, literature, everything that would help us understand its civilization. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a scientific exchange. It was a comprehensive cultural introduction. The craft was trying to share not just its technology, but its entire way of life with humanity. In the command center, Dr. Amanda Stevens was frantically analyzing the electronic transmissions that Captain Thompson was reporting. The complexity of the signals was beyond anything she'd ever encountered, but patterns were beginning to emerge that suggested a civilization far more advanced than Earth. General Harrison, we need to preserve these transmissions, Amanda said urgently. What we're receiving could contain centuries of scientific and cultural advancement. This is the greatest gift in human history. But General Harrison was receiving increasingly urgent messages from Washington. The Pentagon wanted the situation resolved immediately, and they were prepared to override local command decisions if necessary. The four F-16 pilots found themselves at the center of a decision that would determine whether humanity's first contact with alien intelligence would be remembered as a moment of wisdom or a tragic mistake driven by fear and military protocol. Rebecca Martinez knew that time was running out. The craft seemed to sense the tension in the human formation and began what appeared to be a final sequence, one that would either seal a peaceful relationship between civilizations or serve as a farewell before departure. The message it was creating now was different from all the others. Instead of mathematics or science, it was writing words in perfect English. We come in peace. We wish to help. Please do not fear us. Dr. Amanda Stevens was processing information at a rate that pushed her analytical abilities to the limit. The electronic transmissions that Captain Thompson was intercepting contained layers of meaning that would take years to fully understand. But she could already see that humanity was being offered a partnership that could solve many of Earth's greatest challenges. The cultural information being transmitted included what appeared to be solutions to energy production, environmental restoration, and even medical advances that could eliminate diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia. But more importantly, it included artistic and philosophical concepts that suggested a civilization that had learned to balance technological advancement with wisdom and compassion. General, this is unprecedented, Amanda said, her voice barely containing her excitement. The transmissions include solutions to climate change, clean energy production, and medical treatments that could revolutionize human civilization. But they're also sharing art, music, and philosophical concepts that suggest a society that has achieved something we've only dreamed of: a sustainable peace and prosperity. General Harrison was torn between her duty to follow orders and her growing realization that the situation had moved far beyond a simple military encounter. The communications from Washington were becoming increasingly insistent, but the information being provided by her own people suggested that they were dealing with something that required a completely different approach. Dr. Stevens, are you certain this isn't some kind of deception? A way to make us lower our guard before an attack? The general asked. Amanda had considered that possibility, but the evidence was overwhelming. General, the amount of genuine scientific and cultural information being transmitted would require a level of knowledge that's centuries beyond our current understanding. It would be impossible to fake this kind of comprehensive educational exchange. This is real, and it's peaceful. The craft had now begun what appeared to be a demonstration of its most advanced capabilities. Instead of just creating patterns in the sky, it was actually manipulating the environment around it. Clouds were being shaped into geometric forms, and the desert below was being scanned with some kind of energy beam that seemed to be analyzing the geological structure without causing any damage. Rebecca watched in amazement as the craft created what appeared to be a small rainfall in a perfectly circular area of the desert below. The water wasn't just rain, it was somehow purified and enhanced, creating a small oasis in the middle of the barren landscape. Control. The craft is demonstrating environmental manipulation capabilities, Rebecca reported. It's created a localized weather system and appears to be terraforming a small area of the desert. This is way beyond anything we could imagine. The message was clear. This intelligence had the power to transform environments, but it was using that power to create life and beauty rather than destruction. It was a demonstration of what positive technology could achieve when guided by wisdom and compassion. In the command center, Amanda was receiving word that the Pentagon was preparing to override General Harrison's authority and order the engagement through direct military channels. Time was running out for peaceful resolution. General, I need to recommend that we establish immediate diplomatic contact with this entity, Amanda said urgently. What we're witnessing could be the solution to humanity's greatest challenges, but only if we approach it with wisdom instead of weapons. The moment of decision had arrived. In the sky above the Nevada desert, 4 F-16 pilots and an unknown intelligence were creating either the foundation for humanity's greatest advancement or the prelude to its greatest missed opportunity. Rebecca Martinez could feel the weight of history pressing down on her as she prepared to make a choice that would echo through the ages. The situation in the Nevada desert had escalated beyond anything in military protocol. Rebecca Martinez found herself at the center of humanity's first confirmed contact with non-human intelligence, and every decision she made would have consequences that stretched far beyond her military career. The craft had now begun its most remarkable demonstration yet. Instead of simply creating patterns in the sky, it was projecting what appeared to be three-dimensional holographic images that told a story. The images showed the history of its civilization, a planet not unlike Earth, beings that had faced similar challenges to humanity, and their journey from a conflicted species to one that had achieved peace and technological harmony. Control, I'm observing what appears to be a historical narrative, Rebecca transmitted. The craft is showing us the development of their civilization, including what looks like their own period of wars and conflicts before they achieved peace. The holographic story was deeply moving. It showed a species that had nearly destroyed itself through warfare and environmental destruction, but had eventually learned to work together to heal their world and reach for the stars. The parallels to humanity's current situation were unmistakable. Dr. Amanda Stevens was analyzing the historical narrative with growing amazement. General, this is extraordinary. They're showing us their own history as a way to help us understand that they've been through similar challenges. This isn't just first contact, it's guidance from a civilization that has successfully navigated the same problems we're facing. The craft's message was becoming clearer with each passing moment. It wasn't here to conquer or study humanity like laboratory specimens. It was here to offer the wisdom of experience to a younger civilization that was approaching the same crossroads its species had faced millennia ago. General Harrison was facing the most difficult decision of her military career. The Pentagon was demanding immediate action, but everything she was seeing suggested that engaging the craft would be catastrophic not just for human-alien relations, but for humanity's future development. Dr. Stevens, I need your professional assessment, the general said. Are we looking at a genuine offer of assistance, or the most sophisticated deception in military history? Amanda had been asking herself the same question, but the evidence was overwhelming. General, the complexity and consistency of the information being transmitted would be impossible to fake. The scientific breakthroughs alone represent centuries of research. This is genuine, and it's the opportunity of a lifetime. The craft seemed to sense the tension in the human command structure and began a new sequence that was clearly designed to address their concerns. It created mathematical proofs that demonstrated the impossibility of faster-than-light travel using conventional physics, then showed how its own propulsion system worked around these limitations through what appeared to be manipulation of space-time itself. Rebecca watched in fascination as the craft literally demonstrated its technology by creating a small space-time distortion that was visible to the naked eye. The distortion created a lens effect that magnified stars in the daytime sky, proving that the craft was indeed manipulating the fundamental structure of reality. Control. The craft has just demonstrated space-time manipulation, Rebecca reported. It's showing us how its propulsion system works by actually creating a localized distortion field. This is beyond theoretical physics. It's practical application of concepts we barely understand. The demonstration was designed to prove that the craft's technology was real and not some kind of optical illusion or advanced holographic projection. It was showing its capabilities not as a threat, but as proof of its credibility. Lieutenant Morrison had been watching the entire exchange with growing wonder. Phoenix Leader, I'm beginning to understand why you made the decision to communicate instead of engage. This isn't just about following orders anymore. It's about the future of human civilization. Rebecca felt a profound sense of responsibility. She was no longer just a fighter pilot following military protocol. She had become humanity's first ambassador to an alien civilization, and the choices she made in the next few minutes would determine whether that relationship would be built on trust or fear. The craft began its final demonstration, one that would either convince the humans of its peaceful intentions or serve as a farewell before departure. It created an image of Earth as seen from space, then showed the same image transformed by the technologies it had been demonstrating. The transformed Earth was green and vibrant, with clean oceans, restored forests, and cities that seemed to blend harmoniously with the natural environment. It was showing humanity what Earth could become with the right guidance and technology. But the choice was theirs to make. In the command center, Dr. Amanda Stevens was receiving the final transmission from her Pentagon contact. Washington had lost patience with the delay and was preparing to override General Harrison's authority. Fighter reinforcements were already being scrambled from 3 different bases, and the order to engage would be given within minutes. "General, this is our last chance," Amanda said urgently. "If we don't establish peaceful contact now, we may never get another opportunity. This civilization has clearly mastered interstellar travel. If we attack them, they'll simply leave and never return." General Harrison looked at the screens showing the craft's demonstrations, then at the urgent messages from Washington, demanding immediate action. She was being forced to choose between following orders and potentially making the most important decision in human history. "Dr. Stevens, I'm going to need you to draft an immediate report to the Pentagon explaining why engaging this craft would be catastrophic for humanity's future," the general said. "I'm going to delay the engagement order as long as possible, but I need solid evidence that this is a genuine peaceful contact." Amanda's fingers flew across her keyboard as she began compiling the evidence that could either save or doom humanity's first contact with an alien intelligence. In the sky above, Rebecca Martinez was preparing to make humanity's formal response to the greatest invitation in history. The weight of speaking for an entire species rested on the shoulders of a fighter pilot who had joined the military to protect her country, and now found herself protecting the future of human civilization itself. Rebecca Martinez had been a fighter pilot for 8 years, but nothing in her training had prepared her for the moment when she would need to speak for all of humanity. The craft was now creating its final message, a complex series of symbols that appeared to be coordinates for a location on Earth where more formal communication could take place. Control. The craft is providing what appears to be geographical coordinates, Rebecca transmitted. It's suggesting a location for continued dialogue. Dr. Amanda Stevens quickly ran the coordinates through her mapping system. General, those coordinates point to a location in the Pacific Ocean, approximately 200 miles west of California. It's deep water, far from any shipping lanes or populated areas. The choice of location was clearly deliberate. The craft was suggesting a meeting place where there would be no risk to civilian populations, and where humanity could approach the encounter with whatever level of caution they deemed necessary. General Harrison was facing the most critical decision of her career. The Pentagon was demanding immediate engagement, but everything she was seeing suggested that attacking the craft would be the greatest mistake in human history. Dr. Stevens, I need you to establish direct communication with the Pentagon's Advanced Research Projects Agency, the general ordered. If we're going to convince Washington to change their approach, we need the backing of people who understand the scientific implications of what we're witnessing. Amanda was already placing the call. Within minutes, she was connected to Dr. Richard Hayes, the director of DARPA's Advanced Theoretical Physics Division. As she explained the situation, she could hear the amazement in his voice. Dr. Stevens, are you telling me that this craft has demonstrated unified field theory applications? Dr. Hayes asked. That's exactly what I'm telling you, Amanda replied. It's shown us solutions to problems that our best physicists have been working on for decades. This isn't just first contact, it's a master class in advanced physics. The craft seemed to be waiting for humanity's response. It had demonstrated its capabilities, shared its knowledge, and suggested a location for continued dialogue. Now it was up to the humans to decide whether they would respond with wisdom or fear. Rebecca made a decision that would either end her military career or establish her as one of the most important people in human history. She began creating a response pattern in the sky, using her F-16s contrails to write a simple message. We accept your invitation to peaceful dialogue. The effect was immediate. The craft began creating what appeared to be a celebration pattern, complex spirals and geometric forms that seemed to express joy and approval. It was clear that Rebecca's response had been understood and welcomed. Control. The craft is responding positively to my communication, Rebecca reported. It appears to be expressing approval of our acceptance of peaceful dialogue. In the command center, General Harrison was receiving urgent messages from Washington. The Pentagon had detected the unauthorized communication and was demanding immediate explanations. Time was running out for peaceful resolution. Dr. Stevens, I need you to prepare a comprehensive briefing for the Pentagon, the general ordered. We need to convince them that what we're dealing with requires a diplomatic response, not a military one. Amanda was already compiling her data, but she knew that convincing the Pentagon would require more than just scientific evidence. She needed to frame the situation in terms that military leaders would understand. General, I'm going to recommend that we treat this as a diplomatic first contact scenario rather than a military threat assessment, Amanda said. The craft has demonstrated capabilities that make military engagement pointless, but it's also shown clear peaceful intentions. Our response needs to reflect that understanding. The craft began moving toward the coordinates it had provided, but at a slow, non-threatening pace. It was clearly giving humanity time to organize a proper response to its invitation. Rebecca watched as the craft began its departure from the Nevada desert airspace. Control. The craft is moving toward the coordinates it provided. It appears to be giving us time to organize a response. Lieutenant Morrison's voice came through the radio. Phoenix later, I think we just witnessed the most important moment in human history. Rebecca agreed. In the span of an hour, humanity had gone from preparing to attack an unknown threat to accepting an invitation to join a galactic community. The choice between fear and wisdom had been made, but the real work was just beginning. The craft's final message was simple but profound, a single word written in the sky in perfect English. Welcome. Dr. Amanda Stevens was frantically working to prepare her briefing for the Pentagon when she received an unexpected communication. The craft had somehow accessed human communication networks and was sending a direct message to her secure terminal. The message was simple but revolutionary. Dr. Stevens, we have been monitoring your communications and understand your situation. We wish to provide additional evidence of our peaceful intentions to help you convince your leaders. We are transmitting technical specifications for clean energy production that will demonstrate our sincere desire to help humanity solve its greatest challenges. Amanda stared at her screen in amazement. The craft wasn't just offering to communicate. It was actively working to help her convince the Pentagon to choose diplomacy over warfare. The technical specifications that began appearing on her screen were beyond anything in human science. They showed how to harness energy directly from the quantum vacuum, how to create matter from energy, and how to clean pollution from the atmosphere using controlled electromagnetic fields. "General, you need to see this," Amanda called out. "The craft is directly communicating with our computer systems and providing technical specifications for technologies that could solve our energy and environmental crises." General Harrison rushed to Amanda's workstation and saw the stream of technical data appearing on the screen. The implications were staggering. If these specifications were genuine, humanity could eliminate fossil fuel dependence, reverse climate change, and provide unlimited clean energy to every person on Earth. "Dr. Stevens, are you certain this isn't some kind of computer virus or hacking attempt?" the general asked. Amanda was already running security protocols on the incoming data. "General, the information is being transmitted through channels that don't exist in our current understanding of computer science. It's not hacking. It's a direct interface with our systems using technology we don't understand." The craft was demonstrating yet another capability that was centuries beyond human development. It could interface with human technology directly, but it was using that ability to provide gifts rather than to cause harm. Rebecca Martinez was watching the craft's departure with mixed emotions. She had been part of humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, and she had helped ensure that the encounter would be remembered as a moment of wisdom rather than fear. But she also knew that the real work was just beginning. "Control, I'm recommending that we establish a permanent communication protocol with this entity," Rebecca transmitted. "This is clearly the beginning of a relationship that could transform human civilization." The craft's response was immediate. It began creating a final pattern in the sky, a complex geometric form that seemed to pulse with its own light. As the pattern took shape, Rebecca realized it was a map of the local stellar neighborhood, with Earth clearly marked, and what appeared to be the craft's home system indicated by a bright star. "It's showing us where it comes from," Rebecca said softly. "It's giving us a way to find them if we develop the technology to make."